Okay, hi everybody, Ben here from Art Less Ordinary. So tonight I'm going to do something different. So I am going to do some of my indoor pots. So I use these for my indoor plants, but I find white boring. So I am going to do alcohol inks on them. So I did a lot of alcohol inks a few years ago. And then I kind of stopped doing it when I did acrylic pouring, but I want to do the alcohol inks again. And this is something that I found was really awesome. I loved the way that they looked. They turned out really well, and my indoor plant collection has grown, and I need some more cool pots to put them in. So what we have here is, I just have a plain ceramic house plant pot. This one doesn't have a hole in it because it's going to be for indoors. And I have alcohol inks. So these are does that one have a label? No. So sometimes I buy them in large bottles and then re-put them into smaller bottles. So they are jacquard pinata. So I have senorita magenta. And I think this one is baha blue. So they're the two colours I'm going to use for this one. So I have laid down some cling wrap, which is going to be big enough for it to go all the way around my pot. So completely cover it. What I better do is put some gloves on, because if you've ever used alcohol inks before, you will know that it's not the cleanest of mediums to use. So here's our gloves. So these are really simple and pretty basic to do, and you can get quite cool effects by doing it. So ultimately, I got cling wrap, but I've done 2 layers. So because that was the size of these pots. I've got some smaller ones as well, but I thought I would do these bigger ones. Now, I don't need to do too much in the center here, but I want to put ink around this area here. Now this will change depending on how much ink you put on. I don't want to overdo it, but at the same time I don't want it to be not enough either. So we just put some around. Doesn't have to be in any set order. You do use a little bit of ink when doing this, but it is worth it. So now I tell I haven't used these for a little bit because I can't get the lids off that easy. So I want some of the colours to be mixed and blended and some not to be. And this is the artwork you kind of have to do in a relatively timely manner. Otherwise it does start to dry up. I might put a tiny bit more blue on and try and get it into these pink areas a bit. Okay, I'm not going to mess around too much more because I don't want it to dry. So you can use more or less depending on how much you want. So I'm going to put my pot down, and now I want to fold this up and onto the of my pot. Tuck that in. Doesn't matter if you get any on the inside of the pot. So now push it and squish it tight. It's not sticking as good as I'm used to. Oops. So I'm just going to push it so it's tight against the pot. Doesn't matter if it moves a bit while you're doing this. You just kind of want it to cover most of the spots. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of negative space. Negative space always adds a little bit of interest. So I'm just trying to make sure it's nice and tight. Doesn't matter if any's on the base either. We will fix all of that up afterwards. Okay, now that is about it. Doesn't look like it's going to stick too much more. I do find some, so we call it cling wrap or glad wrap here in Australia. You might call it something different in your country, but you relatively know what it is. The wrap for your sandwiches. So that's it. That's all we need to do. And then you place that somewhere and let it dry. So this has to dry for probably a day, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on the weather. As you know, I didn't put any alcohol, any plain alcohol with it. I just put it on as it was. So if you add alcohol, it kind of it extends the drying time, but it also kind of weakens the colors a little bit when you kind of want it to be nice and bold. So I have 2 pots. So let's prepare the next one. So I'm going to put that. I used to have a really good cutter, and then somebody used my glad wrap, and when it finished they threw the whole thing out, including my nice cutter. So I got to do it the old-fashioned way. So there we go. Put that down. So because these are big, I got to actually I got to join 2 pieces. If it was a smaller pot, 1 piece would be fine. So for this one, where did I put? Ah, here's my paper towel. So for this one, I'm going to use different colours. So this one here has got pink, blue, but because they mix, it's given me purple as well. So for this one, I want to do yellow, red, and I'll get orange in there. So they're going to be quite cool, I think. So this one here is chili pepper red. Well, it just says chili pepper, but it's a red. So again, we just kind of put it around. So it's funny, I never would use this much if I was doing an actual alcohol ink painting. And at first when I did this, I didn't put very much ink down. And I learned that I had probably too much negative space. So I started adding a little bit more, and I think I got the results I wanted a little bit more when I did that. should maybe just a tad more. So I've mostly always used jacquard alcohol inks. That was what was probably readily available to me. But most ones should work. The better brands usually have a stronger colour. But if you can't get the good brands, then just get what you can get. And again, lift it up, squash it on. Okay, now this one looks like it's going to have a bit more spots with negative space, but that's actually not too bad because also it's a pot. You actually don't always have your pots where they're 360 degrees, so if there's one side you're not as keen on, you just put that at the back. So I'm squashing it in. And any of these little creases and all that, that's where you get your effects and your patterns. So don't always go, oh no, it's got a crease there, I don't want that, because that is actually what is going to give you a nice coloured effect. Yeah, this cling wrap actually doesn't stick as good as my other one. It is a different brand, I will say that. So you get all these different creases and forms from the wrap. Just make sure you tap it around so it's nice and stuck on. And now that's done. So I hope you guys can see that. The colours are going to blend. It's going to be a very red and yellow, and there will be orange in there where it's nice and mixed. So now I'm going to put that down. Now leave them. Try not to mess around with them too much from here, because you don't want it to half dry and then the pattern to kind of get mixed up. But that is about it. So I still haven't been able to do editing of videos. I'm really not too sure how to do it. My computer's getting a little bit old, so what I will do is I'll probably have this as a two-part video. One part will be me making them, and I'll do a second part which will actually be the me taking off the wrap and showing you the end results and how you kind of clean it up and make it look presentable for putting on. And then I have to leave it before I seal it. So I usually leave things a couple of weeks before I seal things. That probably could, I mean, you could probably do it after a couple of days, but I usually leave things a week just to make sure that the pigment is fully dried and cured before I start sealing things. When I do seal it, I'll show you that in the next video when I do the actual unraveling of these. And you might have different products where you are, but this is what I've been using, and it seems to work. So that is about it. So I hope you guys think this looks cool, and I will show you the unveiling video, and yeah, that will be about it. So now I can take my gloves off. Using the cling wrap, I haven't actually messed up my work area too much. My gloves protected my hands, so it can be messy if you let it, but if you take your time and just go at a steady pace, you should be able to get something that looks quite cool without making a huge mess. So, and it's relatively quick compared to some of my acrylic pours, which can take a week to dry. This only takes about a day, so fast results, and they look really awesome. So I'm going to leave it as that. So we'll be back for part 2 soon. So let me know what you think. Okay, bye.